Hey, this is Kenny for Vox, and today I would like to do a deep dive into the Valvenergy Tone Sculptor. So just like all Valvenergy pedals, this also has a Nutube in the preamp section. So when you push it, you'll hear some natural compression and some harmonic distortion. And the frequency range goes from 100, 250, 570, 800, 2.2K, and 5.6K, which is very, very musical and very guitaristic. And the frequencies, you could boost or cut up to 10 decibels, and for level, you could boost or cut up to 12 decibels. And also, to make this a little bit different from other EQ pedals, the Q is a little bit wider compared to other brands. So the signal goes guitar, tone sculptor, silk drive into cab mode, straight into DAW. And here's the clean tone. Real nice and even, just a perfect sound for a Tele clean tone. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna just transform this overall guitar tone without changing the EQ or anything like that on the silk drive, but I'm gonna use the tone sculptor to turn this into more of that humbucker style sound or more of a sparkly, just shimmery sound, all within the tone sculptor. So I'm gonna boost a little bit of the 100 and the 250, maybe around 2 decibels, and cut the 5.6K, and hear how that sounds. So here it is, without, with. Without. So just by shifting those three frequencies, just a smidge, will turn this into a completely different guitar, which is really cool. All right, so let's do the opposite now. I'm gonna cut those two frequencies a little bit that I boosted and raise the 5.6K. Do the polar opposite. I'm gonna set into the middle position on my Tele. Nice sound on that middle Tele tone, but I want to make it even brighter and shimmerier. So this is a great sound to add like some chorus, more delay and reverb to get this real nice and open sound that's not too fat where it gets in the way of other instruments. So without it, I feel like the low end is kind of in the way of the other strings. So I'm gonna kick in the EQ to really emphasize the top end and the top strings, but still respecting the low end. So if you're playing with a group that has another guitar player or keyboard player or a band that's playing with the track, the sonic and frequency space gets real limited per instrument. So you really want to find that spot where it doesn't get in any other people's way musically. So the guitar tends to fit in that mid-range space, so I want to really focus in that. So what I'm gonna do, so again, this is just the silk drive only. It's a great sound, but it's a little too wide and even. So I wanna cut a little bit of that low end, boost a little bit of the mid-range and the top end to really emphasize this guitar sound. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut the 100 and the 250 just a little bit, and then boost the 800 a little bit, and the 5.6 a little bit, and hear how that sounds. I think this is great because you can still hear that low note, but it's not too bassy. So you hear the note, but you don't hear the fullness. And then by boosting the 800, you could really hear the focused mid-range, especially in this area. And then also adding more of the 5.6, you're emphasizing the top strings. So this will allow other players to kind of find that spot in the low end or even on the higher strings, higher frequencies, so that you could really play a nice role for each other's tone. Cool, so let's get into the more rock and roll territory now. I have the Les Paul and the Mystic Edge, and it sounds like this. Now I want to emphasize the top end. I have the bright switch off intentionally just to kind of keep it a nice even and flat frequency on the Mystic Edge, and I want to emphasize other frequencies with the Tone Sculptor. So I'm going to boost a little bit of the 2.5 and the 5.6 and hear how that sounds. So this is just the Mystic Edge with the Tone Sculptor. Way more clarity now. But it's not too, bright or piercing. And it's still clear when you're on the neck pickup. As to. So on the neck humbucker, it's a little bit too muddy. Now you hear more of the clarity now. So if you have an amp or a backline amp that sounds real dull sounding and you're trying everything and you can't get a nice clear sound, an EQ pedal like this is a great tool. All right, so let's add a little bit of that 100 and add a little bit of that 250 and kind of turn this into more of just like a really nice boost. Man, that's a great rock tone right there. Okay, so let's turn the Tone Sculptor into more of a mid-range boost for guitar solos. So this is just the Mystic Edge, and I have the Tone Sculptor on, but I have everything at 0. I'm going to boost a little bit of the 800 and some 5.6. I'm going to crank the level a little bit more too, just to really emphasize those two frequencies. Yeah. It just gives that nice, nasty, snarly mid-range. Because the guitar is a mid-range instrument, so you really want to focus that frequency. If you play more of the neck pickup when you're soloing, it might get too boomy. I mean, not really on this, but even if you do, you could just cut a little bit of that 100 and get. It's not as boomy anymore. Great. Okay, so we've been using the Tone Sculptor in a more of a traditional way where I'm just boosting, cutting these frequencies just by like a few decibels, maybe 2 or 3 decibels. But I'm gonna go to the extreme. I'm gonna exaggerate the cuts in the boost and emulate certain sounds. So I love the sound of this really thin and small sounding guitar tone on certain sections to make it sound like it's going through like a megaphone or a telephone or something like that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just emulate that sound. So I'm gonna cut the 100, 250, and the 570, boost 800 and the 2.2, and then cut the 5.6 and just cut the level all the way down. So basically I'm just really focusing on the 800 and 2.2. So this is without any of that. And this is with. So you get that effect of once you turn off that filtering, now the guitar is back to this really full and great sound, and I love that effect. So going back to that again. So this is a great tool for arranging your guitar sounds. It's not only to boost for solos. It's not only to transform your single coil into a humbucker. You could use this more of a songwriting tool or more of an arrangement tool where you could really add dynamics and just colors all around to the arrangement. So I love the EQ pedal in that way. So as you heard, the Tone Sculptor is a very versatile pedal, or just EQ in general is a very versatile tool. You could use it as a boost, a conventional boost, or you could use it as more of a shapeshifter. So if you have one guitar that you love to play, but sometimes it's too fat or sometimes it's too thin, you could change that and you could really transform your guitar tone into anything. So let's say you love the single coil sound, but when it's time to solo, it gets too thin. So what you could do is turn up the low end, cut the high end, and vice versa on a guitar like this with humbuckers. Also, if you exaggerate certain frequencies, you could almost get like a cocked wah sound, or you could get more of a megaphone, telephone-esque speaker sound. Perfect for just certain arrangements or perfect for certain guitar tones when you're playing live. It's a must-have tool for any guitar players, especially the Tone Sculptor, because the frequencies are very guitar friendly. For more information, please visit voxamps.com. Thanks.